Jeff, how you doing? It's nice that we could finally talk. I wanted to thank you for the messages first, and I'm glad to actually get to talk to you.
This is what happened. Yeah. And I reached out to the Fourman brothers, and I thought that they were trustworthy. Okay. I believed them. Yeah. And then when they got here, I got really upset, like, which is normally not like that. Even when they were sitting at my table, only I needed help, and they did not help. So get on a calling thing. They didn't help because
Hey, everybody, and welcome back. Today, we're going to look in to see if the Foreman brothers actually help people or not. I've watched a lot of their client interviews, and we're going to do a deep dive into some of that today. Thanks for joining. Okay, before we get this video started, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart all the support that we've received on this channel since we started memberships. So here's a list of all of our current members. If you want to be added to this list and get a shout out, we're going to do this more often in videos. So thank you all for signing up and subscribing to be a member. The Foreman brothers have always bugged me because what they're doing is messing with people, with real people, and it bothers me. I've seen this. A lot of you already know that, you know, I've been doing this for a while now, and my background is in residential cases. In almost every case that I ever got, there was always another ghost team or psychic or something like that in there that has scared the absolute shit out of them, and then it's hard to bring them back to reality so that you can actually help them. So people like the Foreman brothers, when they put in their demon and Satan and all that crap in their titles, they're just reinforcing that whatever the client has told them is true because they got it on their app. So like I said, I've watched a lot of their client interviews, and we're going to get into some of those today. There's a lot of similarities, which we'll point out later on. But I have to say this first. So the call clip that you just heard is from when we put out the Foreman brothers video last time. Somebody had sent us a private message, and I did not see it until a couple weeks ago. And so I reached out to this guy, and it turns out he wants to talk. But he wants to remain anonymous, so we have totally disguised his voice, and here's how I did it. We used I guess in my program that's got a feature on it that you can change. It's called Voice Changer, I think. I don't know, but I'm running a screenshot of it. So yeah, that's how we change this guy's voice, because I do not want anybody going after him. We're not going to feature his episode in this video, so that's what we're doing with that. But he did have some very, very relevant things to share that I can't share near as much as I want to, because it would give his identity away, and I don't want them to be able to pick out who he is. So that's why we disguised his voice, and we're going to play a little bit of what he had to say about the Foreman brothers today. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we're starting here with, I've watched a lot of their interviews with their clients, and one thing that I found that is very common in a lot of their clients and things like that is that their clients are already investigating their own homes, and they're using YouTube techniques. They're using the same crap equipment that YouTubers use. Like the one lady said, evidence. She said she has gotten evidence with cat balls and a spirit app. The other lady, that's all she uses is the Ghost Tube app. And even so, her daughter, I think that's her daughter, said, but this one, there's something different to it. So there's and they can't tell these people, well, don't investigate your home with apps, because that's all they do. If a client came to me with this stuff, I'd say, okay, first of all, you need to stop investigating your own home, because I've said that to many, many people. And if they're using a phone app, I'm going to tell them, first of all, that phone app is crap, and delete it off your phone, or, you know, don't use it to investigate your house, because it's just random stuff. We all know how we feel about apps. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more about that, but I always tell people, do not investigate your own home.
I was using the ghost tube app, and now they're talking to me intelligently, like answering me. I think I'm kind of addicted a little bit to it now, and I don't like that. There's some things I've done that you probably wouldn't approve of. I felt guilty about that. I was angry with him. Like, I have a lot of anger and stuff right now, and a lot of hurt.
Dislike. Yeah, well, I dislike you. You see the horns? The goat head. These are the horns. There's the goat head.
Most of those apps, I don't really believe they work, but this one, like lately, I've been realizing that it's kind of legit. Like, it says some weird stuff on there.
So she drew that up. It was a big, dark, black figure with really long, black fingers, and it crawls around everywhere. I ended up getting some evidence with the cat ball and using the Ghost Tube app, and this is before I hired the Reiki guy to come in. I sealed up my mirrors because it kept bringing up mirrors. Spirit Talker said my name, and it said, "You, Nicole." Last night, a Spirit Talker said, "I think it's demonic." My drum that I'll use sometimes, I started putting the REM pod here, but it'll go off because I seal my door before I do readings.
And when you tried talking to this thing, did you get any responses?
The first time we done it, it was telling me that it was family. It was asking me if it was alive, and then I shut it off. Well, about a week or two later, I turned it on again, and all I got was man with tattoos. And I'm covered in tattoos. And I got freaked out, and I went through the whole entire house, turned every light on, and I deleted that app because it scared me that bad. I've even got cameras now through the house trying to catch it, and we can't catch anything. We don't understand.
So before we get into the phone call with this guy that contacted us, you know, who actually had an experience with the Fourman brothers, I wanted to show that their clients, some I've noticed are fans, you can tell, but a lot of them are really, really, really scared. And rule number one in dealing with residential cases is you have to tone down that fear. So when you have people investigating their own houses, you have to tell them to stop. Like, just, you need to stop doing that. Like, if something happens, like some people put cameras up. So if something happens at 2:13 in the morning, I think it's fair game to go back and look at that footage and send it to, you know, a paranormal investigator if they're trying to help you on a case. But I know people that will sit there and watch themselves sleeping for hours and hours at a time just to see if they capture something. And then they, you know, freak out if an orb goes by or something like that. So, I mean, it's really, really dangerous and a bad idea to investigate your own home, especially if you're already scared. So I wanted to, you know, play some clips of some of their clients that they've interviewed where and they don't shut them down. You know, they don't say, don't investigate your own home. I've never heard them say that. Maybe they do, but they don't put it in the video. Because how do you tell somebody that the app is unreliable and the app, you shouldn't, you know, just play around with apps in your house when that's all they do? You can't tell people, well, that app's garbage, you know, or these apps are highly unreliable and mainly for entertainment purposes. You can't say that if all of your videos are app-based. So just some thoughts on that. So let's go ahead and get into this phone call that we got. Or this, we got the message, but then I talked to the dude, and this is what he said. So let's go ahead and start these. Let's get into that. We've got so much more to talk about today. Notice the Grim Reaper merch. Me and Mrs. Boo have some now. But I want to get into later on some of their investigation, or not investigation, but their interview techniques with people. So I got to start this phone call out by saying this. This phone call is very, very chopped up. This guy does not want any ramifications from the Fourman brothers, you know, coming back at him. So it's chopped up. There's no details involving the case that they did with him. So, you know, I don't want people to think I'm putting things together to make it sound like they said something they didn't. That's why I said, and I promise you this, like, if I do anything with this conversation that we have, I will send it to you, and you can say, yes, go with it, or no, take this part out, or something like that.
You know, in the 90 autos of deviation, that's what they said that they would do, and they do it. And that's what they promised. That wasn't very nice. Yeah. you already go through this, and then they make you look that way, and maybe some people don't care, but I do care. Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest with you, they don't care because now that just kind of, I didn't ask them if they were going to make money. It was not about money, so I needed help. Yeah, right. Must be a lot of people think I made a bunch of money too, which like not to sign a bunch of stuff. Well, I was not even in the right mind frame. I don't care what I signed. All right, like I didn't even care. That was not really what was on my mind. I'm just like, okay, yeah, just get it out, just get it out. Did you get copies of what you signed? No. Okay. Yes, then I should have, if I did it like the right state of mind. I'm smart. Yeah. I know I'm always supposed to get any copy for what I signed. I just did not feel right then and there because I didn't want to be in my own home.
So this guy reached out to them for help with his house. And they totally twisted and got a completely different story than helping this guy out with his house. I really wish I could talk about more, but I can't. So, you know, like I said, if you're seeing this, that means that he has signed off. He's seen the video and he said, I can go ahead and air it because I promised him that I would not air this without his permission. So if you're seeing this, that means I got permission because I stay true to my word. I'm just going to, because like they did the same thing that they did at your house that they do to everybody else. And it drives me insane. You know, they that Spirit Talker app and, all that garbage and then tell people that they got a haunted house because their phone app told them, you know.
I knew something was wrong.
So had you seen like any of their episodes or anything like that before you had them out to your house?
Just the one. Okay. I'm in here. And so I thought that they were trustworthy. Right. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, well, they want to help. That makes sense. Yeah. And I'm funny about people being in my house. Yeah. And when I told them everything that happened, they promised they wouldn't bring up that they wouldn't show my face.
So right there, he says they promised they weren't going to show him. And I promise you that in the episode, that's all they do is show him. So that was an out and out lie. I have no reason to disbelieve this guy. He sounded very, very credible when we talked on the phone. You know, that's a lie that they told him. And how many other people did they tell? And I do know that some of their clients are happy and relieved. But this is two people that I've talked to. Because if you go back and watch our other video on the Fourman brothers, this is two people that I've talked to that they did not help. So, you know, they've got this reputation that they're out there helping people. And I'm sure they've helped some people. So I'm not, you know, just sitting here just bashing on these guys. But it takes more than 1 week and 1 weekend to put an episode together to actually help somebody.
It's to the day, like the Fourman brothers. The Fourman brothers, like behind closed doors, like what you might not see on cameras, they are apparently very, very religious. Because I didn't feel very judged, because now I do go to a church. I'm trying my very best to get into it. I've always believed in God of some kind. Yeah. It's as soon as they heard what I said, but here's the thing, I was like, I'm not religious, I'm not. They did. Right. They're like, oh, so you don't even believe in God. I don't know how many times I have to explain, no, it's not yet. Yeah. Yeah. I believe it's something high so judge. And the only things that they promised that they wouldn't do that they did. This was not supposed to be a TV thing. Right.
You were under the understanding that they were coming there to help you and not film an episode for YouTube.
Right. I knew that they were filming. I knew that it was for educational purposes. You know. When they said that they had done episodes where details were blurred out, faces were blurred out, voices disguised, how they disguised.
So again, he was promised that they were not going to show certain things, and that's all they showed. So I wanted to leave this part in here too, because as a paranormal investigator that does residential cases, you have to be prepared for religions that don't line up with your own. This guy is a Christian, has Christian beliefs and values, but you have to not be so regimented in your beliefs that you're not going to help a pagan out that's having paranormal problems in their house with your Christian approach to it. It's just not going to happen. So the years that I was with the Warren Foundation, and this was a good asset to have. I knew a lot of people in there that were pagans and knew how to help people that didn't have the same religious beliefs as me or approach to it. So it's always good to have a network of people, if you can, to approach things in a different way. You're not going to, another common haunting is like Native American stuff. You're not going to approach that with a Christian method of getting rid of it or, dealing with it. You've got to get somebody that has Native American beliefs and knows what to do in that situation. So,
Right. And then Josh Stein was very, arrogant. Yeah, yeah. And like not comforting to me. Yeah. And then the Sean guy and her said, you seemed a little bit like, I don't know, like kind of like smell like. And I just thought maybe because they were scared. And Josh, he just kept coming the camera in my face. There was one point, when I had to take a break, so I was getting upset, and I come into my house and there's a camera in my face, and I'm like, well, I really wish that you would not have done that. Yeah, I did see that part.
You can tell Josh is doing this strictly for video. He's very good at it, and it's very entertaining and fun to watch. And I say that like from a perspective, like if someone, so I've been on, done client interviews where the person starts to cry. If you're there to truly help people, you're going to turn the camera off and try and comfort them. You're not going to camera in your face, but that's what the Paranormal Nightmare does, because they know that is video gold. They know that grabs people. It pulls at their heartstrings. They're very good at putting videos together. They're doing this with a lot of people that are very, very vulnerable. And if you watch their channel, you'll see that a lot of these people, and I'm not saying this caller in particular, but a lot of their people, really, you can tell when you watch their interviews, they've got some mental problems, and they don't address that. They just go with it because it's YouTube gold. It makes for a good video when people are talking about demons and portals, and it makes for a good YouTube video. So, but it's not helping anybody. If you really want to get them the help they need, you're not going to film that and put it out in a video, because, like I've said this 1,000 times, you're just reinforcing their belief that they have a demon in their house when you've captured all of this evidence on the Spirit Talker app, in your cat balls, in your REM pod, and things that are highly questionable. When you show them that as evidence that they have a demon in their house, in their mind, you may not say it to them that way, but in their mind, that's evidence that I was right, I got a demon. And then when you do your house blessing and you leave, and 1 week later the stuff keeps going on, you haven't helped anything. You've gotten a good video, you've got a big following, and trust me, I know that. They don't like people like me. I've dealt with them quite a bit. Yeah, these guys are just in it to go into people's houses and get content. And that's what bothers me. They may be nice guys, they may think they're helping people, but they know how to make a good video.
This wasn't made for me. I was scared. And when they came, it didn't even fix anything. I had to go through hell to figure out. You just think it. I mean, they did not help. So get on out on the chronic bed. They didn't help because it took a while. After it started back up.
He clearly said in the end that he didn't get help. And that's all I can play of that call, unfortunately, because I cannot put details in because they'll know right away who it is. And I wish I could share, but there again, I'm not trying to do to this guy what they did. So that's all you get of this. But we're going to move on to some other stuff because I got a lot of other juicy stuff on my thoughts and opinions on what they're doing. Director's log, day 257 of me still working on this video. If you've seen this up to this point, that means that he has approved of everything that has happened up to this point, because I sent it to him and showed it to him, and we will now continue with some of their other violations. Whew. It's taken a lot of work to get to this point, so we're going to move on and get into some of their other cases. So in watching their interviews with people, I'm screaming at the computer as I watch them. Like, there are so many interjection points that they don't take. Points where you need to stop the story and ask them a question or give them advice and guidance on what they're doing wrong, and they don't take any of those opportunities. Instead, they see a good story that will make an excellent video, so they keep rolling. So let's get into that. This first one is going to be, well, let's just call it fuck around and find out, because I think this person has an obsession with the paranormal and the darker side of the paranormal, and she was, I'm not saying she's faking or lying or anything like that, but if you really want to have a bad haunting in your house, do the shit that this lady did, but you have to believe it. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And, like, you can really, really cause yourselves problems if you do what she did. So let's get into some of her interview. And I, unlike them, will do some injection points. Or interjection points. That's what I meant to say. You know what I mean.
I feel like I brought some of this on, and I actually physically saw my own demons in the cemetery up the road one night. I physically saw my demons. I was using the ghost tube app, and now they're talking to me intelligently, answering me. The night that I went up to the cemetery, it's probably about 3 or 4 in the morning. We were having some issues, and I'd been really depressed and stuff lately, and I had left home for a couple days. I just didn't want to go back to the house yet, and I don't know why I went to the cemetery, but I went to the cemetery.
So when you interview these clients, you have to do it almost like police style. Like, you really, really have to be in tune and listen for clues. She said a couple in that clip that caused some alarms, and I would be, instead of just sitting there listening to her tell this awesome story that will make a fantastic video, I would have ventured into questioning about the depression, because depression can cause psychosis or hallucinations. It can cause you to hear things. So how deep is this depression? I mean, it doesn't sound like, oh, I just had a bad day. This sounds like more than that. So I definitely would have asked about that. Another thing, and they can't do this because all of their videos are based on the spirit apps, I would have stopped her right then and there and kind of said, okay, look, those are for entertainment purpose only. You should not be investigating your home with those. You should not be asking them questions, and you should take with a grain of salt anything that comes out of it. But if all of your videos are based on that, you can't freaking say that. So let's go ahead and do an internet search real quick on, can depression cause hallucinations? Go ahead and search that. Okay, it didn't take long to find. Depression can cause psychosis and hallucinations. Hallucinations are sensory experiences that are not based in reality, such as hearing voices or seeing things that are not there. So keep in mind the hearing voices things, because that comes up later. These symptoms can be related to the emotions of depression, or they can seem random. So, and I scrolled down a lot. There's a lot more articles that say yes, but there's just an example of one, and that is from treatmajordepression.com. So take that for what it's worth.
I went there and I just parked my truck, and I was sitting there, and I just started seeing some weird stuff, and it was raining. I remember it was raining, and I had the windshield wipers on. It was so creepy because my main demon, I would call him, had a demon face, and he was talking to me, but his mouth wasn't moving. I could hear what he was saying in here. And he was just saying, basically, without saying it, but he was saying basically are you ready to come with me? Are you ready to come with us?
So now she's seeing things, and I don't know what we were supposed to be looking at on that cell phone video, but I didn't see anything. I certainly didn't see anything that looks like a demon. I don't know if Josh did. If he didn't, he certainly should have said, look, I don't see what you're seeing. But, so now we're hearing voices and we're seeing things and we're depressed. I'm not saying that is the cause of it, but I always approach things like, okay, what here is not a haunting. Like what you have to go in, and the first thing you do is debunk everything, even their claims, because so many people have told me some crazy stories, some wild stories. Some end up being true or a version of the truth, and sometimes these people just make stuff up, or sometimes these people, like, it's very, very real to them, and they really, really saw, like, she in her mind may have really saw, a demon in that phone video. I don't see nothing.
And I feel like since then, I've had some kind of attachment. Behind it is a abandoned house. There was some witchcraft, pentagrams and stuff like that in there. And the one guy I worked with said, oh, you should go to that house and check it out. There's pentagrams. He's like, it's really creepy. Let's go to this abandoned house behind where I work. And we used it first there. And we got a lot of stuff. This one is the first video I actually heard a demon's voice or a man's voice on, and I thought it was the guy I was dating. And it says it before him, and it says exactly what he's getting ready to say before he says it.
I knew it was coming. It was coming for you. I knew it was coming. It was coming for you.
That is not him, it's
I knew it was coming.
I think I'm kind of addicted a little bit to it now, and I don't like that. There's some things I've done that you probably wouldn't approve of. I felt guilty about that. I was angry with him. Like, I have a lot of anger and stuff right now.
So, she's talking about being angry with him. She's talking about a lot of clues that lead me to believe that she's not in the best state of mind. And I'm not saying she's crazy or has a mental issue, but depression is a clinical issue. And if depression is one of your things, then she's probably not going to tell them that right away, that, the severity of her depression. But at some point during all of this, I would say, if this were my client, like, look, so if we're going to go forward and you really want us to help you, you're going to have to stop all this shit. All this going into abandoned properties that, where witches have been and doing pentagrams and whatever else goes on in there. And she really looked excited when she was talking about that stuff. So that also leads me to believe that this is someone that's fascinated with paranormal investigation. And she does say so at some point. I don't know if I left it in the clips that I took, but she does say that she is fascinated with this. So so now I'm saying to myself, if this were my case, like, okay, so am I here to play into this fascination? Am I here to be a live episode of Ghost Adventures? What's your motivation for having me here? Do you really, really want help? And if you do, you're going to have to make a whole lot of lifestyle changes, because the things that you're doing eventually will bring you a bad experience. If you're that fascinated with the darker end of things, you're going to find it eventually.
And a lot of hurt.
Dislike. Yeah, well, I dislike you.
There's the
See
ghost
the
dude.
horns? The goat head. These are the horns. There's the goat head.
I think that kind of like provoked them a little bit. I feel like they like when I get like that, and they feed off of that. It's intensified quickly within the past couple weeks, like to where I'm hearing them without the app. The only reason I reached out to you guys the other day is because I'm actually physically hearing them.
So again, if this were my case, I would, and these conversations with people are not fun to have, and I cannot diagnose anybody. So I wouldn't say I think you have, a mental problem or mental disorder or something like that. I would never ever say that to somebody, because you have to bring it up in a sensitive way. And also, you can really get yourself in a lot of trouble if you make it sound like a diagnosis. I would strongly suggest to her that she go get checked out physically and mentally. I mean, that's just, she's throwing demons around, evil things, seeing things that aren't there, hearing things that aren't there. So before we start going after the paranormal, we have to go after the normal. We have to go after, okay, are there physical or mental reasons why this is going on? And if she truly wants help, she'll be willing to go through those steps. But a lot of people, unfortunately, say, well, I'm not fucking crazy, so, and then they fire you and go find somebody else. It's like, okay, I mean, you'll eventually find somebody that will tell you what you want to hear. that you have a demon infestation in your house, and they'll run through a spirit apps and show you that you're right. Kind of like what's going on here. But anyway, I digress.
It's the voices, the knocks. I'm getting intelligent responses now to my questions. Like, they are answering me. I feel like they're like coming out of me or something. Like, I'm scared kind of. Because I don't know if they're just around me or if they're actually like trying to get inside of me. And I don't want that. Now it's come to the point, like, I just don't want to be here. I really sometimes just wish I wouldn't wake up, you know?
That's scary. That is definitely a red flag, and it's time to say, okay, we've got to get some psychiatric help in this case. Not sit there in your damn chair. I know what's going on in his head. In his head, he is like, this is a freaking awesome story. This is video YouTube gold. In my opinion, that's what he's doing.
So when I did the ghost tube, I didn't think that was gonna be, I didn't think it was gonna be like, turn out like it has for me. Okay, well, I did this and now I regret doing it because now am I going with them? Am I doomed? Like, am I doomed?
Put the ghost app down. That would be my recommendation.
What's your fear?
Going to hell. And suffering. I've
A lot of
already
people have that
suffered
fear.
my whole life. I feel like I'll reap my rewards one day. I will. I am grateful because I've always wanted to know, like, for myself. I always knew it was real. I wanted proof for myself. I wanted them talking to me. I wanted that. I invited it. I know the person that lived here because I lived here previous to this time. I lived here in 2012, 2013. There was a gentleman that I actually knew myself. He was a drug addict. There's a portal in my room, and I think it's in my closet. There's been other people that have passed away here. I heard somebody passed away in a fire here. There are 2 females that I know personally. The one that lived in here with the boyfriend, she passed away of an overdose. She supposedly died when she was in a halfway house.
Another massive red flag right there. So she's not saying that she uses drugs or used drugs in the past or anything like that. But in my experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, like if I'm wrong, say so. But in my experience, people who, you know, if their friends are passing away from drug overdoses and things like that, they're most likely doing something or have done something at one point. I'm talking about this lady. If you're hanging out with people that do that to the point where they can, you know, they're doing it so much where they overdose, that there's a good chance that you have, you know, you party a bit. And that's, you know, because I don't want to say, because I have no idea her past or what she's done, but I'm just saying, in my mind, that's a red flag. It's like, ooh, you know some people that, and it doesn't make her a bad person. I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm just saying that drug use can also cause hallucinations, psychosis, even if you're not using and haven't for years. It can come back like a flashback. So I would at the very least suspect that some drug use in the past has gone on with her. And that could be an explanation for why she's seeing and hearing things.
They had mold. Supposedly she died from that. She has come through the app. I have been threatened. I keep hearing heart attack, like, coming soon and stuff. I don't know if they're saying, like, you're gonna have a heart attack. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're trying to scare me, but I didn't take it directly at first. But it's creepy, and you can hear his voice. I just feel like he don't care anymore. He wants to show himself, and like he's around. He's everywhere. I mean, seriously.
So she's talking about the app, and they spit out random words like heart attack and things like that. And a lot of what those apps say, you can. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but you can jump to conclusions very, very easy, And if you're in the mind frame where you think you're communicating with something, you're really going to start jumping to conclusions with whatever comes out of that thing. Everything that comes out of that is going to apply in some way.
In there, I'll hear stuff while I'm sleeping in the middle of the night. Like, I just don't. Most of those apps, I don't really believe they work. But this one, like lately I've been realizing that it's kind of legit. Like, it says some weird stuff on there. I think ever since that day, she's just had a lot of negative energy about her.
Another
I think
symptom
someone
of
followed
depression.
her from that house. I try to avoid it because I don't want that negative energy on me. I know better than to provoke spirits and stuff and let them in. I always make sure they're aware that if I am talking to them, like, you're not allowed to stay with me, you're not allowed to follow me home, like all of that. So it scares me.
So the daughter seems to be a little bit more sensible in her approach to this.
She's just been really sad, really angry. We fight a lot. Like, it wasn't like this when we first moved in. Just since we've been doing that stuff, she's just been in a real bad mood. I think that's the scariest I've ever been, seeing my mom like that. Like, when she doesn't get sleep, like, I feel like this thing makes her stay awake, but she's not herself.
That's another symptom.
I do think that it's attached to her in some sort of way and I'll ask her, like, hey, what's wrong? And nothing's wrong with her. She hasn't slept and she's not acting like herself. And it scares me. It does scare me.
So again, I'm not diagnosing anybody with anything. I'm saying in this case, I would tell this lady that I really recommend that, you know, in order to move forward, that you go get some kind of psychological evaluation and, you know, and a physical evaluation too.
We have provoked them before, but I don't like to do that because then they get angry. They get angry and I don't want anything taking me over, you know. I haven't had any experiences like this that I'm aware of for myself, but I've seen it happen to her and him, and I don't know. I just don't want it happening to me at all.
So again, like in our questionnaire, we ask questions about depression, psychological diagnosis. We talk about prescription meds because we found that those can cause things that people don't know about. Combinations of certain drugs can cause things that people don't know about when they're on them. So we have a pretty extensive questionnaire. Maybe at the end of the video, we'll actually get the questionnaire out and go over it because, you know, in order to get us to commit to an investigation, we have to rule all this stuff out first. And a lot of times people don't like it, but if all that checks out, you know, this really does sound like a very, very dark haunting, like something there. It's, you know, it's not their grandma and grandpa stopping in to say hi. This is malevolent, and they've really done a lot of things to open doors to that. So, but we have to rule out the normal first. That's the important thing. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying this isn't a haunting, but we have to rule out the normal. And we certainly don't want to go in there and make a video. Is this one titled? Yeah, this one's titled "When Demons Attack." So at the end of the day, you just confirmed to her that she's right.
I get in depressive states too.
So
and
there's
I get
more
angry,
depression.
but I try not to let it overpower me. Sometimes it gets to me. I'm sorry. I'm really nervous. I'm like, I might need to take a break.
Yeah, we can stop.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry.
Can you carry that mic around with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't want to miss anything.
I'm gonna just leave the camera rolling.
It's in here. In my room. I'm gonna need.
Okay, so that's more evidence, I guess, in my case that Josh knows what he's doing, and this is all for a video. Like, if she wants to take a break and take the mic off and walk away for a little bit, let her take a freaking break. Don't follow her with a camera and tell her to keep the mic on. The whole reason for that, in my opinion, is he doesn't want to miss something because she's in a vulnerable state right now. So she may say or do something that will be really, really good for video. So I guess, I mean, there's a lot more to that case. And once again, I'm not diagnosing anybody. I'm not saying that there's not a haunting going on here. But I'm saying that they really, really miss out on points where they should be interjecting and asking more questions. So that's just my opinion on that. And let's move on to the next one. Director's log, day 258 of filming this episode. Just kidding. So fun fact, these episodes a lot of times do take multiple days. And I will take this shirt off when I'm done filming this because I probably won't get it done tonight and I'll have to wear this shirt again. So in this next video, this is very much a case of if you want to create problems in your house, watch this video and do everything this lady does. I kind of get the vibe that she's a fan of the Fourman brothers, and that's kind of her motivation for having them there. So this one is not near as dark as the last one, but it has some potential dark elements. So let's go ahead and start this.
So she drew that up. It was a big, dark, black figure with really long, black fingers, and it crawls around everywhere. I ended up getting some evidence with the cat ball and using the Ghost Tube app. And this is before I hired the Reiki guy to come in to remove it. And then I started doing tarot, so I don't know if that ended up amping things up as well. And I was told to stop doing readings in my house, to find somewhere else to do it, and I haven't stopped. My grandparents tried to come over here and cast demons out of me. I always have my Bibles with me. I sealed up my mirrors because I kept bringing up mirrors. Spirit Talker said my name, and it said Nicole. Last night, a Spirit Talker said, I think it's demonic. I let these spirits use me. It's draining me and making me sick. Now it's affecting my daughter.
And do you think by messing with that stuff you've opened a doorway here?
Yeah, definitely. It was just mainly a lot of knocking. I was doing a reading one night and all my friends were at my kitchen table, and you'll see an orb shoot right towards my Michael card, and this shield goes back and forth back.
Okay, so this lady, I mean, there's what, 1.5 minutes here. This lady is into a whole lot of stuff, and again, this is going to make me sound mean and nasty, but like, I think this lady is kind of like a psychic wannabe. And one reason I say that is because any good psychic will know how to protect themselves. They won't need to call in the Fourman brothers. So I think she's, and it's a very, very real thing. There's a lot of psychic medium wannabe people that think they have abilities, truly 100% believe they have abilities, but don't have any at all, or very, very little. You'll see as we go on in this interview, this lady is into everything, absolutely everything. She's got the apps going. She's got the REM pod. She's got the cat ball. She's got, she's doing readings. She's reading tarot cards. She's saying that the Archangel Michael on a card, the shield was waving. She shows him on the phone. If that really happened, that evidence would be in this video, and it's not. So, again, do we need mental evaluations going on in this one? I don't know, but my first initial thought would be how I would handle it with this client is say, look, all this stuff in here, get rid of it. Don't do readings in your house. Don't do tarot cards in your house. Don't investigate in your house. Everything you're doing, if people truly believe in hauntings, you are doing everything possible to invite that into your house. So all of it needs to stop now, or we might as well not even do anything, because if we go through and do our little blessing and you start doing this crap again, we're wasting our time, because it's all going to come back. So
the dark shadows, and I will show you and point out where I see those every night. The kitchen area, that's where I will see an orb, and then all of a sudden I'll hear a bang in the hallway right next to my son's door. It's 2 black shadows. It needs cleansed bad so that it's not attacking my kids. I also have a Ouija board. I only used it once, and I definitely don't want it to get to the point where it's starting to move stuff around my house or slamming
then
doors.
why bring it in?
I've always been attracted to ghost hunting and the paranormal ever since I was a kid.
There's a statement of evidence that she is definitely a fan of the paranormal. So, and no wonder if she's watching it on TV and watching it on YouTube, no wonder she's doing all of the stuff that she's doing, because they never get into the ramifications for actually doing that. So I'm suspecting a fan situation going on here. So
I know that the house needs cleansed from a lot of spirits that I have allowed to congregate. I'm hoping that they can move on. So right here is my Michael and Gabriel card. And you'll see an orb go that way.
pause. So if they really caught, if that really happened the way she said, I guarantee Josh would have put that in this episode. I didn't see nothing. I didn't see an orb. I didn't see a card moving. Maybe I'm not looking in the right spot. I don't know. I saw where the cards were, but I didn't see nothing. And I don't think Josh did either. But it's a damn good story, so let's just keep going with it.
My Palo Santo, my drum that I'll use sometimes. I started putting the REM pod here, but I had to go off because I seal my door before I do readings. But the main area is right there next to my son's door, or right here. Before I got the Reiki guy to come in, it was the closet. But mainly it's the shadow people or things that I see right here against the wall. And it's like shadow play. Like they move, they evolve into different things, and it's two of them. So I can see them on my side of the bed.
Look at all that stuff in her room. Look at all those I mean, I bet she doesn't know what that stuff means. I mean, religious objects and symbols and things like that can be very, very powerful. And to just have a collection of them, and maybe she doesn't know what they mean. I shouldn't say that she doesn't, but it's a spooky house, spooky bedroom. If you're going to sleep around that, you know, you could potentially have problems. But there again, you know, I bring up this point again. I do know some very, very good psychics. All of them know how to deal with any situation that they would get into. You know, you're trying to communicate with the dead. If you don't know how to protect yourself from that and keep your space clear and clean, don't do it. Or find a mentor to teach you how to do it. So, again, this is kind of another case of, you know, fuck around and find out. I'm just going to play it real quick, and you'll notice the big old cat ball sitting there.
Living room. I have my Bible sitting right there next to me, and I have this Bible here.
Yeah, so did you see the cat ball sitting there? So this lady is clearly obsessed with ghost hunting and paranormal investigating and psychics and tarot and Ouija and all kinds of religions. I mean, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you best know what you're getting into if you're going to play around with that stuff. Okay, so I got 3 more things that I want to add to this before we're done. Just kidding. This video is long enough, so obviously we're going to have to do a part 2. I started off like not really disliking these guys, but the more I hear, the more I see. People have told me some things off the record that I can't share, but I'm trying to finish this up, and the dog is now squeaky, squeaky, squeaky toy. So we are definitely going to do a part 2 on these guys, because I found a case today that they did that was like a local case, and I personally know about the story and things like that, and I got all fired up again. So we will definitely be revisiting these guys in the future, because I don't have it in me to do it now. It's taken a long time, but thanks for sticking around and watching to the end, and we will see you on the next one.